Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alicia, and today we're going to be doing kind of, I guess, like a catch-up episode or a catch-up video, but I also have a very crazy and very interesting story about the company I used to work for and me quitting my job. So if you want to hear about my life and the crazy things that have been happening, please continue watching. Alright, so I have some notes on my phone for my crazy story time, but first I'm going to start off by answering some questions that may be present about like why I stopped doing YouTube, why I'm doing it again, what's the whole crazy ordeal. Well, it wasn't like a decision of mine, like just, oh yeah, I'm going to stop doing YouTube. It just kind of happened, I guess you would say. I was doing pretty okay in the beginning, like I was uploading regularly, like once every month, which was good for me because I'm not a huge beauty guru, like I don't have to have a weekly schedule, I don't suppose. So I was doing that, and then I went ahead and we moved houses and moved in with my stepmother, and once I did that, I just didn't really find the time for filming anymore. I was already kind of unhappy with how things had been going with it. I wasn't very happy with like the camera I was using, the setup I had, so I wanted to wait until I could upgrade that before I got back to YouTube. So here we are now, getting back to YouTube. I kind of wanted to do it just because I hadn't in a minute. It was kind of fun when I was doing it. Not because I really want to get anything out of it, but like I said, just because it's kind of fun for me. So I wanted to start back doing that, but I wanted to change it up a little bit. Like before I was only doing like makeup videos, and I don't really want to do that this time. I kind of want to make it to be like a lifestyle, like beauty thing. That way it's not just beauty alone. Like I can review things, I can make, vlogs, and just, a bunch of different options out there, so that way maybe you and your boyfriend or, a cousin, husband, whatever, can watch it with you as well. I feel like I have a bunch of ideas that can apply to a lot of audiences out there, so I'm really excited. There are videos that I really want to do, and so hopefully you guys will like them too, since I am excited for them. But yeah, so I plan on trying to get a schedule going and uploading at a certain time and things like that, but yeah, I just wanted to do this video first kind of to answer any questions, let you guys know what's up this time, and kind of what's in store. Now, whenever I said that we had moved, we did, and also that same month I had gotten a new job at a car dealership, and I worked there until like this past week. So that's where the story comes in, is me quitting my job. A little bit about me is I don't like to quit. If I do, it's because like somebody's done me wrong, either my company or managers or something. Like I just typically try to stay at one location. I get very anxious when I have to switch jobs. So for me to have left the company, especially after working there for almost 2 years, is very hard for me. But I was very surprised at how things also went down. Now about this company is there are 2 separate locations. So I was working at both of them, sometimes at one location and sometimes at the other, helping out on both ends. I wanted to put that out there because that means I have 2 separate managers, and then there's like a big boss over that, all of that. But yeah, so I've had a couple of problems with the company, but I really enjoyed my coworkers. For a minute there, I really enjoyed my like managers and bosses and things like that. And then things kind of started to change. This isn't really relevant to why I quit my job. It's just everything led up to one big thing. So I did want to give like a little bit of a backstory. So whenever I first started, normally you would do like a 3-month review, whether it be for your pay or just getting out of your probationary period. Well, I really had to beg for my review, which isn't that big of a deal. It was just kind of annoying though, because I was supposed to be getting a raise. And I really did want to know if I was doing well or if there was something that I could improve upon, because I didn't want to, let the company down. I was not only one of the youngest workers there, but I was also a girl, so I just really wanted to prove myself. So I did have to beg for my review, and I didn't get it until my year marker. I'm pretty sure was right before my year marker was when I finally got my review. So So that was kind of annoying, but whatever, not that big of a deal. So whenever I did that, like maybe a couple of weeks later or a month later, something like that, I was offered this opportunity to do, like, work in a different department as well as do my other job. So I was originally hired for a receptionist position, and since this one lady had quit at one location, they allowed me to, or offered to me, to do this other position as well, which was like our BDC agent type thing, which means like we would do calls, like online calls for people who would want to sell their vehicles to us. And this was only supposed to be for a short time because once I started school, I was only supposed to be working like 30 hours a week. And so we were in June at this point in time when I had this offer brought to me. And I was like, yeah, totally, actually. I'll work 60 hours a week during my summertime because I want to make money, dude. Like, this is my prime time. I can save up for my schooling. I'll do it. It's only 2 months. Even though I have huge anxiety for phones, I'll go ahead and do it, help the company out. And it was going good for a minute there because, like I said, I was extremely, money hungry and everything. Now, in the meantime, as I'm doing this new job, working 60 hours a week, our office administrator had left her position, which was very upsetting for me because I loved her. She was so awesome for me. And she taught me everything I knew. And whenever she left, I had a little crash course of how to do all of her position, in her job as well, because there was some things that I didn't know how to do yet. So I learned how to do that and was doing both. So I was doing the office administration part as well as doing this BDC agent, cold call type thing, as well as follow-ups and all that jazz. So I was doing that, like I said, working 60 hours a week. And then there was another person in the company that left. It was a finance manager at one of the locations. So the location that I was working at the point in time, that finance manager left to go over there. And there was one manager that came in, it was a salesperson that converted to a manager, and he was making a bunch of mistakes. So I was having to clean up after that, trying to make sure things were accounted for. There was just a lot of stress going on. But like I said, I was still extremely happy doing my job because I felt like I was proving myself to the company. I felt like I would be rewarded for this later on at some point in time. If I'm putting in all of this work, they'll ask me to do stuff later. I'll be their go-to girl. Who's gonna get an award at the Christmas party? Me, duh. So I was just trying to prove myself, trying to show that I'm willing to work, that I'm not like other 20-year-olds, things like that. I just was trying my best, and I really was enjoying it at the point in time. Then the bad part was when they didn't hire somebody. It was at the beginning of August, and I started school at the end of August, and we hadn't looked for anybody yet. They hadn't posted anything online for the position, and I was like, okay, guys, I can't still do this. What are we doing? I can't do both. School and 60 hours a week. It's not going to work. And they actually didn't hire someone until halfway through my semester. So I went down from working 60 to 45, 50 while going to school. But anyways, they didn't hire someone until halfway through my semester. That person failed. We actually went through multiple people, and it was very hard because I was still having to do calls. Just because they hired that one person doesn't mean that I was able to stop, because that's how much the workload was, is they just had to have 2 people. And so it was just back and forth between me having a huge workload because people were quitting, or because, the other person couldn't handle it. And like I said, I still had to make these calls. We went through multiple people, and then finally we got this really amazing person. She is one of my favorite coworkers, and I love her. But I still had to do these calls. Now, not because she couldn't do her job, but because of the workload. It was just so much. Like I said, there was just an insane amount of calls. So I was like, man, we got this one great person. We need to find that one extra person that can complete this team, and we'll be good to go. So I went ahead and set an appointment with the boss, not my manager, but the boss. And because that's normally who I talk with about this entire ordeal, how I need to focus only on my schoolwork. I can't do this anymore. So we went ahead and made this appointment like to have this conversation, and the day of, he doesn't show up until like midday afternoon, after I had already told him I needed to talk to him like that morning. And so I was just kind of agitated because of the fact, like, I felt like I wasn't being taken seriously. Like, I already had that in my mind because of the fact that they didn't care that I was struggling in school, and they didn't care that they didn't keep their agreement. But now I'm not even important enough to show up on time. So anyways, we have this meeting, and I have this entire plan about how I can ease out of this position, how my hours are going to be. That way it doesn't affect anybody else's hours. I can still help out at both locations like I was before. I had everything. And I went ahead and gave him my little spiel. And after that, he was like, good meeting. I have to think on it. And then just walks off, like just leaves. And as he was leaving the dealership, I was like, hey, you told me not to quit. I'm not quitting. And he was like, well, you might as well have. And that really upset me just because I was like, I'm doing 16 other jobs for you right now. I tell you I can't do this one because you didn't keep your word, and it's all of a sudden like I'm worthless. So I was just like, oh my gosh. I'm infuriated, I'm hurt, I'm sad. And in the meantime, because after that, like, he waited 2 weeks, guys, to finally come back to me and tell me what his thoughts were. In the meantime, there was this other meeting that they had, and in front of other employees, he lied about what was said. He said that he told me I still had to do these calls until they got somebody else, when in reality, he didn't say anything. And that just makes me so angry because I was like, don't lie on me like that. Like, I'm not there to defend myself and tell the truth, so why are you lying in front of your wife and these other employees? Don't do that to make yourself look better. Go ahead and say it for what it was, that you didn't have anything to say at all and you left. Just keep it at that. So, a year later, well, I think it was 9 or 10 months later, we finally get 2 people. And I'm finally able to stop doing calls. So 2 months, guys, turned into almost an entire year. It was very horrendous. But anyways, we finally got the other person, and it was time for me to, kind of step down from making those calls. Now it's my turn to supervise over that, make sure they're doing their calls and things like that. So I'm still involved in the process. I'm just not personally making these calls myself anymore, which I was extremely excited about. There was a problem, like I said. He said in front of other employees and his wife that something that didn't happen happened, and that happened a lot in that company. Our boss didn't seem to have balls around his wife. They had 2 different ideas on how the business should be ran. It was always one person would say one thing, and then she would say another, or vice versa. It was just never on the same page. Very confusing, very manipulating, because one of them would be coming in there rolling in hot, yelling at you because you did something one way, and it was just it was a hot mess for a minute because it just was so confusing. And I'm not saying to me, but I'm talking about like everybody. Like, it was confusing for the entire company how they did things or how they are doing things. I've had problems with some overtime pay before. Like, they would just like forget about it or leave it off, and they went ahead and wrote me a separate check. I get paid weekly, and it took them 3 weeks to get me that. Whatever. So, like I said, I had problems with overtime pay before, and recently my coworker, our receptionist, had to get surgery on her Achilles, and I was covering for her, so I had to work overtime. Normally I work 40 hours a week. This time I worked 52.05 hours. So, just 12.05 hours of overtime. And I got my paycheck on Friday, and it was a little bit short, and I was like, they just forgot to give me my overtime. It's fine. I'll go ahead and just send my boss an email real quick, letting him know that this is what it was, this is what it should be, here's the calculation for that. Like, I'm not just lying. And that was 8 a.m. Friday morning, and he never responded to me until 11. One of my managers calls and says, hey, can you call the lady who signs our checks? She wants to talk to you. And I was like, okay, this is about my pay problem. So I went ahead and called her, and she was like, we don't do overtime. You've never gotten overtime, hun. And whenever she said hun, I just wanted to flip my shit, honestly. Don't fucking call me hun. So anyways, then she was like, all we did was she said, we took this amount times your the amount of hours you worked, and that's what you got. But the problem is that she thought I was making this amount an hour when I'm really making this amount an hour. And I'm like, you're not even getting my salary right or my hourly right. Like, that's another problem. You don't even know what you're doing over here. So I hang up on that phone conversation, and I call my boss again. And I'm like, hey, I need you to call me. You didn't call me earlier. Now she's saying that I make this an hour when really I make this an hour. Then she's saying that I've never gotten overtime, which I completely have. I worked an entire summer making overtime. I need you to give me a call immediately to figure this out. I refrained from cussing, even though I was at that point. Like, I refrained from cussing, refrained from calling names, which was really above me at that point in time because I was so livid. And then I get a call from my other manager that the boss's wife had called him and was cussing him out because I left a nasty message on my boss's phone. Like I said, I didn't cuss, I didn't call names, I just demanded that he call me back. So if that's considered nasty, then okay. Well, anyways, she's calling my manager, cussing him out because he allowed me to work this overtime that he didn't tell me or give me the rundown that apparently we don't do overtime anymore, that I should have already known this, which is bullshit. We're not exempt from overtime. I already looked it up. Like, you don't just get to decide you don't want to pay overtime anymore. So it's irrelevant. Okay, dude, you don't get to just decide that. So anyways, that was on Friday, and I never got a call from anybody else. Nobody ever called me, told me I am getting my money, reiterating that I'm not getting my money. Boss never calls me back. The wife never calls me back, even though she apparently had a lot to say about me. And then I go to work on Saturday morning, hoping to, finally resolve this, see what's going on. And my manager comes up and he's like, hey, can you come in my office real quick? And I'm like, okay, sure. What's up? And he was like, did the boss's wife not call you? And I'm like, no, why? And he was like, well, she was supposed to because they decided they had suspended you for the weekend. Like, you don't have to work this weekend. You can have it off. What the fuck am I suspended for? Am I suspended for asking about my money? Am I suspended for leaving a message that wasn't, insane? Like, I just don't understand, why I'm suspended right now. But okay. Deuces, I'm heading out. But after that, I was just so infuriated that I ended up just sending in my resignation because of the fact that, we've already had problems before. I'm over this company. All they do is use people and then expect them, to sell their soul to the company, but they're not going to do anything in return for them, and that's just not happening for me. What's really annoying, though, is, everyone's like, oh, file a complaint under the Board of Labor or whatever. Honestly, I think I would only do that just to annoy them and just to make them do paperwork because I know I wouldn't win anything just because of the simple fact that, they fake documents all the time. They've had this problem before with employees, fighting against them because they do some shady shit. And I've literally watched them make fake documents to turn into these people. So it's just I know they would do that same exact thing to me, but at the same time, I'm like, I kind of want to do it just so they have to go through all of that stuff to make these fake documents to then, turn into people. So, I don't know. But it's just annoying that they would even do stuff like that in the first place. They're messing with other people's pay. It's just really annoying. They fuck with people's overtime a lot. It's a whole mess, and it really made me sad to even leave the company in the first place because, like I said, I've been there almost 2 years, and I felt like I gave so much, and I sacrificed so much, and then got nothing out of it, and it really hurt me that, people that I consider, really close to me just was like, fuck you, bitch. You don't get your fucking money that you work for. Get the fuck over it. So it was just very annoying and very hard. So we can add that to another reason why I'm doing YouTube if we want. I have plenty of free time on my hands now because I don't have a job. I mean, of course I'm looking for one, but, In the meantime, you'll get to see a lot of me and a lot of videos and a lot of content. So if you want, you guys can leave some suggestions down below of, videos that you want to see and things like that. And then, of course, in future videos, let me know what you think of them, whether you want to see more of them, what I need to change. Don't be mean to me, don't bully me, but I'm always open to constructive criticism just because I want this to be good for you guys and I want you guys to enjoy watching. So, yeah. leave me some comments down below. Let me know how you feel. Let me know about companies that have screwed you over. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this story time. I hope you had fun, and I will see you in my next video.